So yesterday we discussed a lot about mobility trends, about virtual offices, about the location. So is workplace of the future still the office? I would like to invite to stage Nicklas Lindberg, CEO of Eco Investment, and this presentation will be followed by panel discussion led by Zuzanna Mikołajczyk, Commercial and Marketing Director, Mikomax Smart Offices. Welcome, Nicklas.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to do a short presentation about is workplaces of the future still the office? The problem of today, or the opportunity today, we already have everything we need. We have all the flexibility we need. We can work exactly everywhere we want with the connectivity of today, with the iPhones, the iPads, and everything we have around us. But the problem we all end up with is that during this nice and beautiful idea, we don't always stay on the beach somewhere. Most of us, like me, end up sitting in an airplane, in a car, waiting for somebody, or in a train, waiting for it to get to the office. And with this kind of things, it's pretty obvious for us that we need to work differently than we're doing today. And the only thing we have in common for all of us is that we need to be together. We need to meet other people. We need to get that social feeling instead of just sitting at home. And that's something we have looked a lot at from Eco point of view. How can we work with this? How can we make sure that we facilitate that thing, that people still have the freedom, but you still can be together? And also another important thing is the future happens now. The technology development is going much quicker than it ever did before. We see that if you just stand up a little bit and you will see really that the development is going so quick, and if you're not constantly being on your toes, your competitor will run away from you. And there's always a war for getting the best talent in the business. No matter in what business you are, in the outsourcing business, in the development business, there's always a war to make sure that you attract the best employees. And also we see a second trend. More of us is moving into the cities. And we have seen this development going on for a lot of years now. And there's no trend that the development is not continuing. And this is something that I think it's a positive thing. But the only thing is, how can you make sure that even if people move into the cities, you still get the feeling of being seen, you have the areas around us that you can thrive and you can develop in, and we still create the creativity in the areas. And if you look at the figures here, this is just how many people are on the planet, how many of them live in the cities, and how many of them are really living in the center of the cities. The next slide I'm showing here is how you see that development growing, which is a trend that you see today. We are 54% of us live in the cities. We're going up to 60%, and by 2050 we will be 70% of us living in cities. It will be pretty crowded areas, and that is something that we need to look at, and how we're going to make sure that we get people to move into the cities, but still you don't get that feeling that you are just in a building located in a city with nothing around it, that you can get your development and get your people to thrive. We talk about the urban areas. We talk about destinations that you will create within cities. You will create like small cities within the city. When you come into the area where you work, it will be feeling like you come into your home. It will not be a workplace, it will be all the things you have around you, you will get in that area. You will have all the amenities you need. If you want to go into the office, it will be not like an office. It will be like a second home. And this is extremely important going forward now, because an office will not only be an office, it will be something more. Because if we're going to attract the employees of the future, you need to do it differently. And what we see here is that the business happens in the cities. It happens in the buildings that we're creating there. It's all about being there, but still getting the area around you that you will feel like you can still develop. You can still feel that you belong to something else. This is an example of some of the tenants that we have attracted into our buildings. And we have not attracted them only because we do great buildings. This is not about that. We have been thinking about a more bigger perspective. How can we create an area? How can we create a destination? How can we work together with them to make sure that they attract most employees, they get the right employees, and also that they get the innovation and development within the buildings. It's all about how you create flexibility, it's all about how you create growth, how you create so they feel like this is not only a building, this is something way more than that. And also in a lot of these centers that we're having, it's all about development, innovation, what's around the corner. How can we, as a provider of spaces, make sure that we facilitate that? How can we create that creative area? How can we create those zones? I started working in this business a long time ago, 15 years ago, when it was totally different than it's today. It was not at all about creativity. It was all about different things. It was all about how do you get as many people you can into an area. Now it's more about how do we create zones? How do we create like a small Starbucks within an office? How can we make sure that when you come in there, you don't feel like it's an office? It should be your home. It should be a place where creativity will develop. It's a totally different way of thinking. And the only way we can do it is to work closer together with both with our tenants, but also with our old tenants that we learn from. We are constantly learning how we can develop this. And it's all about how do we get that area around us with the diversity, with the innovation, the talent management. It's all about people. And that is something that we constantly look at. We constantly see how we can facilitate and help that. And the workplace, the picture you see here, I think the workplaces will turn closer and closer to hotels. It will be a totally different way. It will be a meeting place. It will be an area where people will meet and share knowledge. We are looking at so many different ways how you can get even more flexibility. How can you get more zones where you can meet? We are just now completing a building in Warsaw called Q22. We took one of the floors, the 14th floor, and said this is a floor that we're not going to rent out. This is going to be a floor that's going to be a gym and a big auditorium like this, free of charge for all the tenants in the building. Just to make sure that once you're there, if you want to go to the gym, you just use your card and you go in there. It's free of charge for everybody. You can use it whenever you want. There is somebody fixing your dry cleaning. There is somebody fixing everything you need. There is a Starbucks on the ground floor. There's all the things you can. So once you go into that building, you should not need to go out of that building for anything else than going home for work, hopefully. But this is how we see it. It's a lot about how can we create an area within a building. And the next picture I'm going to show here is we're going to do a brewery in Warszawskie that is in the heart of Warsaw. And the target for this is to create the destination I was talking about. Here you will have offices, you will have restaurants, you will have retail, you will have residential, I guess, that people can rent. This place should be live after 6. When you go away from work, you should go around there. There should be restaurants open. There should be a lively area. We're trying here to also look into the history. Can we create a new brewery here? So you can make your own beer on the site. This is how do we work? How do we make sure that this is a destination? Because a little bit what concerns me if we only continue doing buildings all over the place and we don't make sure that it creates a destination. Because then these areas will die after 6 p.m. And that is not what the people want. They want to continue staying there. They want to continue meeting. If you meet in the office or you meet after office, it's important to create that zones. And then if people meet there, they will share knowledge. They will talk about different things that they have done during the day. You will meet other people. You will create that creativity. And also you get the people chance to both live and to work within the same area. And there will come new people into here. This is something that we are looking very close into. I think by urbanization, this will be what more people need to do within the cities. Create small destinations within a big city. And by that one, we have just created a slogan that we have released here today. We call it the space for leaders. We think there's really much more for us to do than just creating an office space, but more creating space where people can develop, people can thrive, and people can just make sure that we are creating the innovation going forward. Because the people that we are getting into the buildings today, they don't work for just a building. They need to have an area around it that really makes sure that it's somewhere they want to stay in the long picture. I have now taken all my time.